接着刚刚是先让你工作也行吧，就是不管是吧，就是不管你不是嘛，其实你这是没事呢，对嘛我来，你这是你呢，我这是有吧，你这是有的，你给他你这你了，你不什么的。你这你的，我的 integrated approaches for health and medicine that change the health policies are situated on the so. So we are very happy to have Professor Bhushan Patwardhanji from Pune University today. He is currently working as a professor and director of the Interdisciplinary School of Health Medicine. So we thank Professor Bhushanji for accepting our invitation and coming all the way from the Pune, from his busy schedule. So actually, the actual program session was yesterday, but due to the flight delay, we couldn't make it yesterday. And also we are happy that Dr. Bhushan is here this morning. So since the time limited, so I will not go details the profile. So you will find the detailed profile of Dr. Bhushanji from the abstract book. So you can read from there. Now I request Dr. Bhushan to start his presentation. Lecture. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here with all of you. Share some of our views and some of our work also. I will mention. I understand that all of you are medical practitioners practicing Tibetan medicine. So I will not go much on the research part of it, but I will talk more about concepts regarding health, how they evolved, how Western medicine evolved, and how traditional medicines evolved, and how in today's context traditional medicines are regaining importance. And then I will come to the health policy aspects and what is happening in the world vis-a-vis India. I'm sorry, yesterday my flight was delayed, so could not spend so much time yesterday. And today also I'm going to be a little fast to save time, and I want to keep more time actually if possible for discussions. I mean, I'll have to leave by 10:30 from here, so we have about 1.5 hours with us. Out of that, about 1 hour I will talk, and half an hour at least I will leave for question answer. Just recently I completed a book, and that book was published by world's largest scientific publisher called Elsevier. They publish more than 60% of the scientific books and journals all over the world. And the title of the book was Integrative Approaches for Health. As you will see that I represent Interdisciplinary School of Health Sciences, which is in the University of Pune. And the name Health Sciences itself, I would like to start. Because when we made a proposal to establish School of Health Sciences in the university, questions were asked that when so many medical colleges are there, why do you need School of Health Sciences on the university campus? In Maharashtra state, we have what we call them as affiliating university, and Pune University is one of the large university which has more than 800 colleges affiliated to us. And there are many medical colleges, very renowned medical colleges affiliated to us. So at that time, we had to really, and in university when you want to start any new course, you have to convince your senate and other bodies that why do you need such a course on health sciences. And we realized that in our mind, we have so much of confusion about these terms. what is health, what is medicine, and many times we interchange these terms in our mind at least. And why in our mind? At the largest or the highest policy levels also, you will find that this confusion continues. And I am going to touch upon quickly how these confusions occur. And therefore, automatically we make confusion between medical sciences and health sciences. Actually, all of us know that health is wealth. We talk about it. It's a natural integral part of most of the traditions. And I'm particularly happy to come over here, and I was talking to doctor that I feel that Tibetan medicine is probably the only medicine which has maintained its purity for so long. Frankly, although I work in Ayurvedic medicine, the purity of Ayurveda has been lost. We have succumbed to pressures of modern medicine, and we are not doing a fairly good job either of doing modern research in Ayurveda nor doing scholarly work in Ayurveda. Neither of that. And in the process, the Shastras are getting affected. We are losing the original essence of Shastra, they are getting vitiated. And that has not happened here, and that's why I was happy when I got the invitation. I thought I'll come and share some of the views with you. Actually now, globally, health is considered as human right. India also is moving in that direction. And when we say that it's a human right, actually it should be for public good. And it's very important that it remains available, accessible and affordable to all the individuals. And it should not be limited to person, but to community, to animals, to plants, to environment, and to the entire ecosystem, because health of the ecosystem ultimately depends, gives health of human beings. So we cannot work in anthropocentric way, wherein everything is evolving around us. And actually when we lose health, we realize importance of it. We don't realize the importance of health until we have it. And I'm going to spend some time, because this is more related to policy also, I'm going to spend some time about definition of it. You know that World Health Organization has defined health in a particular way, and I'm going to touch upon that a little later. But the last bullet I want to tell you that it is easier to know disease, illness and sickness, but it is difficult to know health. And it is human tendency that what is easier, we go after that. The early origin of disease, if you really see, as I told you, the health and medicine terms are used interchangeably. While disease is related to something which is pathological, health is very natural. Health is very positive. It is dynamic, and unless somebody takes effort to attain health, it is not possible to get health. No doctor is able to give you health. There is no pill that can give you health. There are pills to treat diseases, but there are no pills to give you health. The roots of diseases, maybe now there is a modern research that has undergone, and I am sure there must be some roots of this knowledge in your wisdom also, that what we eat or what our mothers had eaten has effect on health of child. And it has been now proved, it is called as Marker's hypothesis, or in short it is called as developmental origin of adult diseases. So today if I am having hypertension, today if somebody is having a cardiac disease, today somebody is having cancer, the roots of that they have followed, that they are in the, actually earlier they thought that it is in fetal origin. So fetal development was one of the major research interests in modern medicine, and they showed that nutrition to fetus or nutrition to mother during that period, how important it is. And then that changed into developmental origin. From single cell, when the fetus is being formed, right from that stage, all nutrition and environment is important, and that is linked to the diseases that we get in adulthood. So present focus is on disease and not on health, and that is really sad. And I must tell you that although the science and technology advances they have helped tremendously in understanding etiology, pathophysiology or treatments of diseases, as a modern researchers, I can tell you that we do not understand health. We can understand diseases. We know, we can tell you that there are more than 30,000 genes that are known for many responsible diseases. We know that disease genes relationships, but we don't know which genes are responsible for health. Many powerful drugs like antibiotics are available to treat infectious or alleviate symptoms like fever, pain, inflammation, but there is no medicine to achieve health. The health seeking is not a passive disease, passive condition like disease cure, where health requires active participation. And this question I am asking all of you, you can think, where is health in healthcare? We keep on using this term in government, that healthcare. You have Department of Healthcare at the lowest level, even in Gram Panchayat, there is a health department. To WHO, which is World Health Organization. And the easiest way to look at it is look at the budgets of all these bodies. If you look into even your local government budget under healthcare, what do they do? Or if you go to Government of India website and look into the Ministry of Health budget, you will realize in few minutes after you start looking into the budget that majority of that budget is going for treating diseases. Discovering new drug may not improve health. This is a myth that more and more powerful drugs will give us health. No, they may help us to treat diseases. Today, healthcare sector remains dominated by pharmaceutical and surgical interventions. And we talk about healthcare, but actually in practice we are doing medicine. Drugs and medicine dominate global phenomena, both east as well as west, in rich as well as poor, in developed as well as in developed countries. This is happening all over. The capitalistic consumerism society, it has attractive business proposition for pharmaceutical, diagnostics and insurance companies. If you look at the US, one of the richest countries, you will find that healthcare there is in really terrible situation. Even rich people in US are not able to afford cost of the treatments, and therefore insurance companies are driving the whole. The real public health is kept at bay. The focus on curative aspects of healthcare are in front. The local to central government's majority of the budgets, as I told you, are spent on medicines, equipments, diagnostics, surgeries and salaries, and not for health. Where is health in university education? Now in the government of India, if you see, every state has universities of health sciences. In Maharashtra, we have University of Health Sciences, to which all the medical colleges are affiliated. Earlier they were affiliated to Pune University, now there is a separate university. And in many states you will find, in Karnataka there is Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, in Andhra Pradesh there is similar university. So most of the states have health sciences. I don't know in Himachal whether you have University of Health Sciences or not, but many states are doing that. And when this proposal came of University of Health Sciences, we opposed that proposal from the university. And we said that please don't use term University of Health Sciences because it is University of Medical Sciences. Please don't confuse people more by talking about health and doing medicine. But obviously they did not hear. And what happens in University of Health Sciences, if you see, again if you go to their website and see what they do MBBS, they do BAMS, they do BHMS, they do nursing, they do physiotherapy. Where is health? There is no health in University of Health Sciences, only medicine. So actually it's a medical university, not health university, but it is easy to lure people by talking about health. Because people get connected to health more, better, faster than medicine. Because medicine, people are afraid. to take medicine in their mind, common people. But health, they feel comfortable. So, under the cover of health, what actually we are giving is medicine. The global impact of disease over health is so high that not only the example of University of Health Sciences I gave, but take example of the top institution in the world. Top institution in the world in terms of budgets, in terms of research output, in terms of quality, everything, publications, is National Institutes of Health in the United States. It's a cluster of many institutes put together, huge budgets. The largest and most advanced scientific network of 27 institutes under sample. The name is National Institutes of Health. But if you go to their website, you will find that there are institutes of cancer, institute of respiratory diseases, all institutes, blood disorders, liver disorders. So institutes are all of diseases, but name is National Institutes of Health. And this was challenged in the US recently. And so now the institute name has been changed this year to National Institute of Integrative Health. They made them change because they said that you are talking about health in your institutional mandate, but what you are doing actually is medicine. So let's at least bring the term integrative so that it doesn't remain isolated to health. Integrative meaning medicine automatically gets integrated to that. If you even, there is something called medical subject headings, and disease classification. These terms you may have heard. They are classified by National Library of Medicine in United States. National Library of Medicine also has the largest database of medical literature with them, which is called as PubMed. You may have heard PubMed. PubMed is maintained by National Library of Medicine. Remember, this is National Library of Medicine, and if you take what they do actually in terms of keywords, they are all related to health. So you can imagine how medical people are using keywords of health and how health institutes are doing medicine. This is really one of the major reasons why we are not able to really differentiate between medical care and health care. As I told you, I am going to go a little fast, so I may skip some of the diseases. So I want to tell you today, irrespective of these major advances in biomedical sciences, there are many diseases where there are no treatments. Quite frankly, there are no treatments. Modern medicine has done wonders in terms of surgery, infectious diseases, acute condition, managing pain, inflammation, etc. Symptomatic reliefs. But when it comes to chronic diseases, slow progressive diseases, or lifestyle diseases, modern medicine has got tremendous limitation. And today, actually, there is epidemic of lifestyle diseases. The days of infectious diseases are over. They are actually not over, but the burden which used to be there earlier is no more there. That place has now taken by lifestyle diseases. And lifestyle diseases cannot be treated only by medicine. Lifestyle diseases need a holistic treatment. And this kind of holistic treatment is given by traditional practices, and therefore traditional medicines are regaining importance all over the world, particularly because of this lifestyle epidemic which world is facing. And why this lifestyle diseases are getting predominant? Actually, we should first go to the definition of health. I told you that today we are in medicalized society. Pharmaceutical industries are governing countries' policies of health. This statement may be sounding over, but it is reality, and I'm going to give some examples in later slides, how pharmaceutical industries are governing the policies of countries. Just one example, and I may not really go purely by these slides. I will may a little bit divert when some point come, and again I will go back. So this, and in between, if any one of you have any question, you can interrupt me anytime and ask. Okay? This we will try to make it an interactive, because this is not a monologue. I am not expert who can teach you. I also want to learn from you. So just last week there was a news in newspaper. I don't know how many of you have heard, and the news was, now health authorities are saying that there is no convincing evidence for controlling elevated cholesterol levels down or getting protection against cardiovascular disease. Just 1 week ago, this news was there. And now they are saying that cholesterol control is fine, you can do that, but not necessarily you will get protection for your cardiac disease. What does it mean? 40 years ago, when statins were evolving, these medicines were dumped on our heads. For 2 or 3 decades, poor people have given their own hard-earned money to buy statins, hoping that they will get some benefit. On the top of it, now there is evidence that statins actually are harmful and they can give rise to many other diseases, including diabetes. So this kind of a damage happens and nobody is accountable for it. Today scientists are saying this, 30 years ago scientists were saying differently. In this context, I also, those who are interested, it's a very good reading, but this is not topic of mine. Today's talk, so I'm not going to talk. There is a report by European Environmental Agency, EEA. And the title of the report is very interesting. That report was released just last year. Title of the report is Late Lessons from Early Warnings. Late lessons from early warning. There are many such late lessons where we have suffered, humanity has suffered, when earlier people have warned that what you are trying to do is wrong. Same thing, at that time also, minority scientists were telling statins are not good, they are harmful, but they were bulldozed because of the pressure coming from pharmaceutical industry. This is just one example. There are many such examples, I think. And why pharmaceutical industries have grown so big and they have overshadowed the basic reality of health. If you want to know this, you have to go back when WHO accepted definition of health. You will be surprised if I tell you that we have analyzed actually, and there is a